put a natural feeding to the test. From Scotland's Highlands to the coast of Dover, we are the raw feeders of Great Britain, yeah!
Welcome to the Raw Feeders of Great Britain podcast. Can you start by introducing yourself and tell us exactly why you've come on here today?
Hello, Michael. Well, first things first, mate. I really appreciate you having me. Thank you so much. Obviously, super interested in what you're doing. We are not that I 100% think it's for everyone, and definitely not casting my opinions upon anyone else. But for us, raw feeding is a massive part of our dog's health and wellness. So yeah, any excuse to just chat shop, I'm definitely up for it, mate.
Yeah, wicked. So, like I say, obviously you've launched. I said the Roolo product. I keep calling it Roolo, but it's Roolo.
It's Roolo, yeah. So I meant to introduce myself as well? Did you just ask me that?
Yeah.
Jeez, man. Sorry. I think it's the heat. I think over the last week, I love the heat, but it's been absolutely. My brain's not great at the best of times, and it's it's. Hi, hello. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Lee. One of the founders of Play9. We are a canine health and wellness business. Where all we care about, we just want happy dogs, mate. That's all we want. So that's me. That's why I'm here. I appreciate it. So.
Do you know what? You're on my level because I'm exactly the same. I do exactly the same thing on other podcasts. So Roolo itself, I've not got one with me, but it's pretty much what I can only describe as like a pyramid shaped style toy with a hole in it. And the idea is to be more like for enrichment as well as like just getting more creative with treats and things like that.
Yeah, so I mean, look, I'll give you the kind of like I won't waffle too much, but I'll give you a story so that you've got a bit of actual sustenance behind what I'm saying. So yeah, I've got another business which I'm forever on video calls with. When COVID hit, I lost a previous business. I wasn't far off selling it. It completely crippled us overnight. So I lost all the staff, offices, everything, had hair. But it's definitely not a sob story whatsoever. It's all part of the journey. Just important so that you understand. So we basically, when that happened, I needed to think pretty fast. I've got a wife and a kid. Obviously needed to put some bread on the table and all of that. So set up a marketing company. At the same time, my wife, bless her, had her enough is enough days. She's always had this absolute, like most people, she's just an amazing, fantastic human. And but never quite did what she wanted to do, if you know what I mean, and ended up doing jobs that were just jobs and things like that. And she's always wanted to be a dog trainer. She's always been amazing with canines, and she's loved dogs since she was a kid. And she had, I think, like a lot of people, she got to COVID and was just like, you know what, I've had enough. Like I just don't want to do this anymore. So she was like, I'm going to jump off the cliff and I'm going to become a dog trainer. So at the same time that I'd kind of lost that business and started the new business, she came home with a Rottweiler. So it's our lovely, wonderful, warm-hearted Tuki dog. So I've always loved dogs too, but up until that point, I love dogs, I love animals, but didn't really have too much understanding, basically past base level understanding kind of thing. And when we got Tuki and we brought her home, it was that like absolute like, oh my God, I love this thing more than anything in the world. All I want to do is make sure she's happy and healthy and lives a really decent life, and we went down, like I say, my missus is a really good accredited dog trainer and behaviorist and groomer actually. But personally, I went right down these rabbit holes of like, right, what do I need to feed her to make her as happy and healthy as possible? What do I need to do? What kind of training, blah, 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 all of these things. So we're a few years down the line now kind of thing. I feel a lot more confident with all of those things. To answer your question, so the reason I brought up the other business is I was forever on video calls with that business. And because my wife's trained the dog so well, the dog is extremely clever, which means that she knows exactly whenever I'm on a video call, that's when she'll come over and kind of start like pathetically mewing. That noise dogs make where they're just like, yeah. And the problem with me, as you probably notice quite quickly, is I'm quite scatty. And I find it very hard to focus on more than one thing. So I'm trying to have these like important conversations, meetings. I'm also at the same time trying to look after my dog, and then I'm trying to keep the two things away from each other. Fast forward, we tried everything, dude, like literally every product we could find, and Tuki would either annihilate them or she'd figure out the cheat code. You'll know this as well as I do, but with a lot of sort of clever breeds, they can often find a cheat code to a toy, and then they either complete it extremely quickly or they get frustrated because it's too easy, or they destroy it. So we just had one of these like sort of I was going to say dumb idea, but we had a bit of a one of them one day where we were just like, do you know what, we could probably come up with something better. And we bounced a few ideas around between myself and John and Rich, who are part of the team as well. And we kind of came up with the idea that we couldn't find it on the market, is something that recreates the hunt for the dog. So it actually engages all of their different instincts at the same time. It's not just a tug toy. It's not just an enrichment toy. It's not just a slow feeder. It kind of puts all those things together. And you bang on, mate. It's a very weird shape. It's like, if you're explaining it without visual, it is kind of like a weird pyramid kind of shape. It's actually called a shape of constant width. And the idea is as tall as it is long as it is wide. Interestingly, and you have to see it to believe it. So for any of your listeners that haven't, definitely check out the Roolo and see what's up. But you give it a little nudge or a little, a push, or a dog paws it or noses it, and it kind of almost self-propels, and it moves erratically in different directions. So they can never figure out the pattern. Like every single play that they have with it is dynamic and one of a kind. So anyway, we got proper old school bit of a Del Boy situation. One of the sax players that I used to work with quite a lot, I knew he had a 3D printer, so we sent the idea to him and said, look, dude, can you just like print this thing off, and we'll see what happens. And he sent this sent the sort of prototype, I suppose you would call it, through to us. And super like not sure what's going to happen, and we put some treats in it and put it on the floor, and my dog started playing with it. And we were like, hold on a sec. And then she carried on playing with it. And then 20 minutes in, she's still playing with it. And we were like, it works. Like, it literally works. Problem is, it works with my dog. Does it work with anybody else's? So we stuck an advert up on Facebook. And we were just like, look, we've got a new dog product that we've brought out. And we're looking for all shapes, sizes, and breeds, like, any kind of dog. If you want to test it, give us a shout. And we just got inundated. We had so many people. So then me and John spent about, I don't even know, 6 weeks, 2 months, just driving around the countryside, dropping the Roolo prototype off to people's houses, and then getting them to, we were sat in the car outside where they were kind of, playing with it with their dogs. And then afterwards, we will send them a feedback form. So the form would be super brutal honesty, about the product. What did they like about it? What didn't they like about it? Price point, things that they think would be optimizable, like all of these things. And out of the sort of, I think it was late 60s, 67, 68 people that we tried it with, all different shapes and sizes and breeds. Only one of them didn't come back and said, where can I buy one? So we were like, okay, we've maybe got a thing here. And then the rest is history. We had no idea what we were doing, kind of figured out manufacture, figured out logistics, all of the stuff we've got no idea about. But I think the reason that it's worked and is working so well is we just genuinely, from the bottom of our hearts, we just want happy dogs and happy customers. It's like, it's so important to us because we care so much about our own pets as well. So it's a real passion project, labor of love type thing. But yeah, does that kind of answer your question? Is that helpful?
It definitely does, because obviously that explains the backstory and how it came about. Because to look at it, you'd just be thinking, why? Like, who thought of this? Do you know what I mean? Because it doesn't look like it'd work, but it does. And some people might say, if they see it in a shop, they might be thinking, oh, this is pointless. But tried and tested, I played with it myself, I'll be honest with you. And I see exactly what you're talking about, where, like, say, you'll nudge it or whatever, and it does change. Because it's not like it's pyramid shaped, it's also rounded in the corners. It's not
exactly that.
Do you know what I mean? And I just thought it was brilliant.
Thank you.
And the fact you could put treats in it as well is absolutely epic, because especially if you've got like a strong breed that will destroy things. But the size of it too, even with a big dog, they're not going to be able to open the mouth that wide to actually get it in the mouth properly. And the fact that sometimes I've noticed with some toys is that the hole for them is too small. So it restricts what can go in. And if it does go in, sometimes it won't come back out, which again, you get the frustration side of it, or they'll destroy it. I've noticed the size of it, you can get like freeze-dried treats in there, easy, no problem. You can put kibble pieces in there, no problem at all. It really is like a one-size-fits-all product. And regardless of what feeding model people are feeding their pets, it's perfect. it's the whole of the market, and that personally, I love it. The only thing I've not like noticed is like the cleaning side of it. So, say for example, if somebody was putting kibble pieces inside, which do have like a fat coating, how do you clean it? It's just simply just a bit of detergent inside, rinse it, and let it dry, or
Yeah, for sure, man. So I really appreciate the kudos. And yeah, it's a really good question as well. So we purposely made the Roolo one whole piece. The reason being is, again, dog welfare. Like, there's so many products on the market where there's choking hazards, or opening bits where dogs can get their teeth into. And we've just seen so many horror stories where it's ended badly. So we wanted to make it one whole piece, so it's like a solid, decent, decent bit of kit. But it's super easy to clean. So for the outsides, literally you can just wipe it off. No worries at all. You can put it in the dishwasher on a cold setting. Most people tend to rinse it out. So literally warm soapy water, rinse it out, leave it to fully dry. And it's that simple. And then to your other point, interestingly enough, it's quite funny because we purposely came up with that size. So the size of the Roolo, arguably, I think if you just look at it, you could it's on the bigger size of toys. The reason that we did that is for dog welfare. Is there's so many small toys out there that are dangerous for big dogs. But bigger toys, not always, but bigger toys, and in this instance, aren't dangerous for smaller dogs, and they can still use it. However, the thing that we've come up against, and it's genuinely one of the only bits of sort of constructive, negative-ish feedback that we get, is it's not the dog, it's the pet parent. So we have it when we do like trade shows and things like that. It's really great because we get the initial, like the immediate feedback from potential customers, and it's really important to us to understand what they're thinking, what they're saying. Have they got any objections? What are the reasons they would or would not pick up a Roolo? And one of the only objections that ever comes up is that's too big for my dog, before they've even tried it with their dog, which is quite interesting, because 99 times out of 100, if we're at a trade show and we can talk to them, we'll be like, look, we'll just give them a try with it, we'll see if they get on. 99 times out of 100, their dog starts playing with it and they go, oh, okay, yeah, it's not too big. However, but because that it's, we have to show people that sometimes if they're just seeing it in retail, or they're seeing it online or something like that, and they can't, and it just looks too big. Sometimes they won't buy. So what we do actually have the Roolo Mini, which is coming out in 3 weeks' time. So that'll be live in the UK in 3 weeks' time. So that we've got a slightly smaller version with a slightly smaller distribution hole on it. So for people that are feeding their dogs like really tiny dogs kind of thing, up to small and medium, if they're feeding smaller treats or food, then it can be a better fit for that as well. We've got a lot of customers where we put the prototypes out for the Roolo Mini where they use both. We use both in our house. So my Rottweiler is like 40 kilograms. She's not the biggest Rottweiler, but she's fairly big. Yeah. But she'll use the big one sometimes, the small one sometimes, and she gets different things out of it, kind of thing.
So there is a smaller one coming out. That's handy to know, because that makes it more travel friendly as well.
Interesting point. A few people have said that. We didn't think of the travel aspect, but we are now using it in our marketing. So yeah, no, well done, mate.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, because if it works, the concept works, and the dogs love it, then obviously if you go camping and things like that, you're going to want to take it with you. But if you're struggling for space in like a suitcase or whatever, obviously a smaller version would be more ideal. But obviously then you might be limited on what you can actually put inside it treat wise. But yeah, it's definitely a happy trade off in my opinion. Anyway, I just wish I had one so people can see what I'm talking about. So I will edit this and I'll put a picture of it just here so people can see it.
Mate. Do you know what I've got? It's quite a bone of contention in our house, because we have a lot of stock, but if we do trade shows, the stock, some of it ends up at my house, and my missus is, I'm right on the line of like, you need to move out because there's so much stock everywhere. So I do have a bunch of them, but they're at the end of my garden in the shed. So yeah, maybe it's best if you just if you flash one up.
I'll put one in. But yeah, so at the moment I've seen like I say, you've recently said got into Jollies. I've seen your recent socials about being in Walmart. When you say Walmart, I'm guessing you mean actually overseas in America.
Yeah, so see, this is the thing, man. Like, this whole thing, like I say, it really is a labor of love, and it's I've run businesses since I was 18, I think I started my first business, and I've kind of, been in different verticals and done different things. And this is the first time ever. Not only do I really love what we're doing, like not just the enjoyment from our point of view of how we're running the business and those kind of things, but it's just such a lush industry. It's just, like even talking to people like yourself, where it's like you genuinely care about what you're doing, you care about dog welfare. It's like we meet these people all the time. It's like a really, really cool thing. So there's like, I just, yeah. What question did you ask me? I told you I was scatty. What did you ask?
So I said, well, I saw that you've gone into Walmart, so I'm guessing.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, yeah. I understand. Yeah, I can see where the funny thing is. I can see where my brain trail goes after. Sometimes I have to like reel it back in. Yeah. So basically, and because of that, it's we've ended up like it's a good product, and if there's dogs, people love it. So we've been approached by lots of different countries, which is amazing. Which it's, what I was going to say about the other businesses is this is the first time it's felt like it really pulls, as opposed to us having to push out and being like, "Hi, we're here, and this is what we do," and like here's our services or here's our products or whatever it is. Like this is the first time I've ever had anything to do with a business where we can't keep up. It's just pulling, like it's insane. It's like magnetized. So so one of the cool things recently is we got approached by a guy in the UK called Clayton. If you don't know him, he's got a fantastic podcast, Pet Business Disruptors. He's a wonderful fellow as well. Absolutely love him to bits. And he's been helping us out. He's working with an American brand who are really interested in the Roolo. So yes, they've taken it on. They're distributing it for us in the US, and they're the reason that we've got into Walmart recently, and potentially a few other bits and pieces like Chewy and stuff like that. Fingers crossed. And then we've got like I say, this is the thing. Wherever there's dogs, like Roolo's work. We haven't long brought out our own range of premium treats as well, so they're sort of starting to do the same thing. And it's like I think not in a funny way. I just think people really like the brand. I think people like what we're doing because we're genuinely, it sounds funny, but like profit comes second. We just want happy dogs. It's literally that simple. It's like we want people. People have a lot of struggles. Some people get a dog and they don't know what they've let themselves in for. Some people, maybe get ill why they have a dog in their care. Things like there's a bunch of different things that can happen. And we just want to help. Like we just want to help. If we can help with a bit of education, like I say, my wife's on the team as well, and she's like proper top end dog trainer and behaviorist. So we're not just coming at it from a like, here's a business, we want to sell some products. It's very much like, does this make dogs' lives better? And if the answer is yes, we're like gunning at it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's innovative, for want of a better word, because there's not many people that are coming out with new ideas. They're all just releasing the same thing, but in a different dress, if that makes sense. Everybody's concentrating on like tough and durable things at the moment, but rather than something that actually makes the dogs think. And the fact that you've made it inclusive, like say for dogs on a different feeding model as well, is another good thing. That's a massive win for me. Like I said, freeze-dried treats, absolutely epic in those. But I've noticed that it's blue. Is there any plans to create different colours in the future?
Do you know why it's blue, sir?
No.
So a lot of people don't know this, and again, this is one of the things I learned along the way from sort of my wife helping me out with understanding a lot more than basic level sort of dog care. But dogs see in blue and yellow spectrum. So which is interesting, and I am not going to name any names, but there's a very, very, I wouldn't call them a competitor, but there's a very, very famous dog brand where all of their stuff or most of their stuff is in red. Now, the interesting thing there is that dogs really struggle to see red. It doesn't mean that they can't see it, and it doesn't mean that they won't interact with toys, and it doesn't mean that they're not fantastic products. That's not what I'm saying. But that is very much directed to the customer purchasing as opposed to the actual dog. For us, we just want happy dogs, and everything we do is like, is it better for the dog? Is this the very optimized version of what we can do for the dog? So to answer your question, yes, the Roolo Mini that comes out in a few weeks is yellow because, again, they can see in blue and yellow spectrum. Do we have plans to bring out sort of like random colors and things like that? Yeah, I think there'll be a point. I mean, you've got to understand that we're a very, very small team and we're completely bootstrapped. Yeah. So, we did this with nothing, especially after losing my last business. So it's been a very gradual build. we've got more ideas than we've got time and money for. Do you know what I mean? So,
I get
but
that,
yeah, I do like the idea of doing sort of like special runs where it's like, we've only got 1,000 in stock that are like, I don't know, luminous green. I wouldn't do luminous green, but you know what I mean, like that kind of stuff. But yeah, for the moment, it will be the original Roolo is the blue, the Roolo blue, and the Roolo Mini is like a sunshiny yellow.
That's awesome, because there's actually not many brands at the moment that are selling to the dog. They're selling to the owner, like you've just said.
100%.
That human appeasement, and you're going against that grain and you're focusing on the dogs, which just says a lot about the product in itself and your own ethos, which
Thanks,
I love. Because again, a lot of people actually think that dogs can see in black and white when that's not the case.
Nope.
So I was aware of the spectrum between, like I said, blue and yellow, but I wasn't aware of the reason why that was actually blue. So that's actually quite clever, and I like that.
Thanks,
So yeah, it'll stand out regardless of wherever it is. They'll be able to see it. I just think, it is an amazing product, and I do recommend that anybody, like I said, wants to try it before they buy it, so to speak, does check out a local retailer. Now, for your website, have you got a list of where it's currently available?
Do you know what? It's so talking of us being a small team, there is this whole list of stuff that's like not super priority or firefighting that just hasn't been done yet. It is on our list to add all of our retailers and distributors to the website, but we don't currently have it on there at the moment. Retail-wise in the UK, we're in Jolly's, which is really new, and we are so excited about that. Like, we're proper gassed. We love you guys proper. Actually had a really nice lunch with some of your guys around at Lady Bathurst's house. We do a bit of charity work for the NFRSA, so they're all connected and stuff like that. I really love the ethos. I love the ethic. I love Jollies are cool, man, like really cool. We're also in Pets Corner, which was really fortunate for us because we managed to get into Pets Corner, like, I think it was only a few months after we launched, like, and you'll know this better than me, but I found out the hard way, is retailers don't like taking on brands with just one SKU. And up until recently, when we brought out Tuki's Treats and our future products we've got coming out, we've just had that one SKU, the Roolo, for the first like 2.5 years. And so it was mad getting into Pets Corner. It's mad getting into Jollies. And then we're in, like, I don't know, like a good few hundred, like, sort of mum and pop retailers around the country, like, which is really cool as well.
So you just touched on something there again that I think is really interesting, that I think needs more awareness on as well, because coming from the nutritional side of it, the treats, I've looked at them, and do you know what? I'd probably say they're one of the best treats on the market in terms of what's in them.
Thank you.
And do you know what? Massive kudos for that, because it's something I definitely heavily promote for all training treats, because they are absolutely epic. It is minimalist, and the fact that it goes with the product that you've created as well, it just makes sense, and it's just beautiful.
That's awesome, man. I really appreciate that, Michael. And something that, like, hopefully this proves to your listeners, like, where we're coming from. So for those people that sort of don't understand the back end of business, which is totally normal, a lot of people don't, it would have been very easy for us to bring out a lesser product. If we're talking about the treats now, especially, it would be very easy for us to bring out products where we make more margin on and more profitability. It would be very easy for us to market those treats better than they are, which I see all of the time. Again, I wouldn't ever throw any brands under the bus or anything like that, but it really makes me sick to my stomach sometimes. Understanding marketing, I've run marketing businesses. I see some of the things people write and some of the things that they say, and I know they're not true. I've been to some of those factories as well. I've literally been to some of those factories where they say it's UK based and it's all grass fed, free roaming cattle, for instance. I know that the factory's in the other side of the world. I've been there. I've seen it. So I don't like it ethically. And one of the biggest things I've always struggled with is my ethics. My mum didn't raise me like that, so I can't. I want to sleep at night, if you know what I mean. We could have brought out lesser products, but and definitely Tuki's treats are phenomenal, and I'd really stand by it. I'm extremely proud of what we've managed to do there. We've got a farm in Scotland and a farm in Ireland. They are genuinely top range, like venison from Scotland and then ox from Ireland. They couldn't be better treated. There's no horrible. There's just nothing in there. And like you said, we call it an ingredients list, but there's only one ingredient in.
Yeah.
So there's 4 SKUs. 2 of them just single protein, so just venison and just ox liver. And then the other 2, which are both ox heart, have but that one's sort of sticks form and one is like a smaller. We call them Roolo ready because they go straight into the Roolo if that's what you want to do. They've both got a little bit of apple cider vinegar in as well, just for gut health, bit of extra sort of health benefit. But that's it. There is nothing else in them. The problem that we have with them, and just full transparency, they cost us a lot to buy, which means that, you know, our margin is very, very minimal on them. We've still stood by doing it, and we still choose to do it because it's the best thing for dogs. You know, I wouldn't feel happy bringing out something that I know could be better. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly that. And you're doing now something that I try and raise awareness and try and get manufacturers to do better. But you're already doing it. You're leading by example. And I personally think you're ticking all the right boxes because you're absolutely right. You could have literally just found some that's like white labeled version of like a WAG type treat and just went with that. But you haven't. You've put your homework and legwork into something, ethically sourced it, and then you're that proud of it. You've put your own dog's name on it, and that says everything. Do you know what I mean? That says everything. Because if you didn't care, you wouldn't do that.
Mate, if I didn't care, I would literally have about 100 million quid in the bank now, from any of the businesses I've run. Like it's just to me, there's way more to life than profit. It's, you know, there's you have to have purpose and you have to have something that you're actually doing. In my opinion, I might be wrong, but I believe one of the reasons that we're here is to just try and leave things better than we found them, make the world better. You know, even if it's tiny, just those little baby steps each day of like just doing good things and being a good person. And it's tough sometimes, you know, and I get that. But I think, you know, one thing, you know, we've got more. You will know, again, you'll know this better than me, but we live in a world where there is more products now than ever. There are more variations than anything. If you want to kind of sort of semi-freak yourself out, like just have a look at shipping lanes, have a look at live shipping lanes online, and you will see tens of thousands of boats every single day. All of those boats have got, you know, however many 40-foot containers on them that are full up of product after product after product. Loads of those products are single-use plastics that people just throw away. Alliteration. So, you know, loads of those are things that people just don't need. Loads of those are things that are marketed in a certain way that make people buy them, and then the people realise, like, oh, honestly, I didn't need this, you know, and I've spent money on something that I didn't need, and blah blah blah. Loads of them just aren't. They're just not ethical. It's just, you know, and it breaks my heart. So it's like, but I mean, look, I've been waffling, mate. It'd be really interesting to know. So, what made you start Raw Feeders of Great Britain?
I started this 7 years ago now, purely because when I first started looking into the raw side of it, it came from a place of pain and grievance when we lost the family dog.
I'm sorry.
She passed away when she was 13, but the last 4 years of her life was absolutely terrible. She was incontinent from the age of 8. She was riddled with arthritis, cancer, the lot. But she was what I call a veterinary textbook dog. So whatever the vet said, my parents did it. Mm-hmm. So it was the vet recommended foods, monthly flea and worm treatments, boosters every 12 months. Basically, everything the vet said, they jumped through it. And then I was just like questioning, like, why? Do you know what I mean? When I remember being a kid. I remember being a child and dogs were getting to like 17, 18. It was like quite common when I was like 5 or 6 years old. And I was like, why? Why is she such bad health? So then I started going down the rabbit hole myself. And that's when I came across a TED talk by Rodney Habib. Why don't all dogs live forever? And that was like the match on the fuel, so to speak. And it went from there. So then I started getting into all these various different groups online, following guidance, which I didn't know any better. And I just obviously took it as gospel. Then as time went on, I realised that this is actually quite detrimental for some dogs. I've tried this; it's backfired on mine. And the guidance became a bit more like cult-like, and if you challenged what the admins were saying, that's it. You were gone. You was kicked out, and it's like, I was like, no, that's not for me. This. So I started my own.
I love that. That's awesome.
Started my own. Where basically it's just about being on everybody else's level. There's no hierarchy of dictatorship. You must do this. You must do that. It's, oh, I've done this. What have you done? And learning together as a community rather than making someone feel judged or looking at a meal that they've shared and then running it through a formulator or say X, Y, and Z is missing. You need to do this, this, and this. It's not about that. Personally, we've always gone for balancing over time. When I say time, obviously I'm not talking like 2 years. I'm with context and just taking that stress away from making every single meal complete and balanced. Because in my honest opinion, it's not needed at all. It's needed for a commercial reason. If you want to sell foods and have that labeling, then yeah, and it does serve a purpose. It has its benefits, but it's not compulsory. And to act like it is and dictate that way and make people feel like crap that aren't, I think it's wrong.
Agree.
And I find it just to be a lot more fun this way. And do you know what? Just dropping bite-sized nuggets along the way, and then also educating the consumers on like the compliance side of it, like what the DEFRA guidelines are, what they should expect from the manufacturers, what they should do if they're noticing anything that's contradicting those guidelines and things like that. And basically highlighting where the feedback loops are, because I've just done a post before that basically says that a lot of manufacturers, they have an attitude of, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But if you're not letting them know it's broken, they're not going to fix it, are they? Yeah, so it's all about communication. And it's not just like business's fault either. That's I've recently found out is it comes from the top end up. So obviously there's DEFRA and there's the APHA. They set the guidelines and they enforce the guidelines through the trading standards. But it seems it's a bit of a postcode lottery because depending on which trading standards representative you speak to, they're interpreting the guidelines differently. So say a manufacturer, say in North Yorkshire, is allowed to use X packaging and got the thumbs up, green light, good to go. They sell to a stockist, say down somewhere like in Essex. Their trading standards rep goes in. Well, that packaging's not suitable. Get it off your shelves. And then they have to pay to get that shipped for incineration or whatever they've got the waste processes are, which I don't think that's fair. It's a massive mismatch, and it's causing a lot of frustration with businesses online as well. Because, like I said, some stockists could do certain things and vice versa, and same with manufacturers. For some reason, the trading standards reps aren't singing off the same hymn sheet when they should be. It's in black and white for everyone to read, even us. It's all publicly available. And yeah, it makes no sense why there's such a mismatch. But obviously, it's just fueling online toxicity, especially when everybody's trying to get a piece of the same pie. Because what they've been potentially even fined for and had recalls for, and other manufacturers allowed to do it. And then you get the whole malicious side of it of people reporting each other. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah. So,
well, this is the problem as well.
Bit of a mess.
Exactly that, man. I love that story as well. That's really cool that you've got like a proper, like an actual genuine driver behind what you're doing. That's really, really sweet. And I think as well, it's like, this is the problem with most like big corps now. It's like, it's compartmentalized. So you'll get someone at the top throwing orders. The person at the bottom never meets this person. Neither, this happens here, process. Like, I really, it's either, I won't go off on a massive one on it, but like, even with customer service now, like, I know everyone hates it. Everyone hates AI chatbots. Everyone hates having to all you want to do is pick up the phone and have a chat with someone. That's it. If you've got an issue with anything, and so many companies now are like, they're setting up these processes to get to the point where people give up before they actually get the resolution that they want. On one hand, and like, even with that, like, we've tried to break the game, and it's tough, man. But like, so if we ever get anyone that's got wants any information, sends us a message to the website or drops us a message on, and you can test this if you want. Go on a different account and just test if I'm lying. If you send us a message on Instagram, you will get a voice note back from either me or John or one of our team. If you send us, and normally it will definitely be same day, unless something absolutely off, whatever. But same if someone sends through like a submission to our website, they will get a phone call. They'll be dealing with a human, and it's like you're saying about all these things. Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of people where, because it is compartmentalized, there's just processes that don't affect this person and this person, but they do affect this person. But this person does this, and it means that this person now has to do this. Even with recalls, like what the hell is that? Why are people wasting stuff? That's mental. It's absolutely mental. There's people starving out there, and then there's also companies just throwing stuff away because the protocol's off. It makes no sense to me whatsoever.
No, exactly. But I'm just trying to. I like I say, I'm always firm but fair. I judge like manufacturers all equally. I don't care if they manufacture kibble, if they manufacture raw. The guidelines are the guidelines. It's the same for all, and I judge everybody exactly the same. But then it's also bit like not fair because the businesses have actually themselves have had the green light. They said, "Oh, it's fine." They've done everything they need to do as far as they're concerned. They've done through all the necessary hoops, which is great. But then, for whatever reason, a representative that they dealt with has either made up their own rules, turned a blind eye for whatever reason, or just simply incompetent and can't be bothered doing the jobs properly. But then that sets them up to fail, and consumers as well. Because, like you said, if things get recalled, then that screws up the deliveries. It screws everything, and it's just not fair. And I'm trying to fight the fight for the businesses as well. Like I said, I'm firm but fair. If you're jumping for all the necessary right hoops, but something's still going wrong, then obviously I'll help you try and get above that. And I'm like a dog with a bone. Like I will literally hound people that are there I will hound the trading standards until I get an answer, because it's just not right. They can't just change their minds either willy nilly. I've even had it before. The same council, the same local authority has had two different answers from two different representatives.
Really? Yeah.
It's like, hang on.
It doesn't surprise me.
So what chance have people got if the same local authority can't even agree? Never mind conflicting local authorities. So it's a bit of a minefield, really. So I do feel sorry for a lot of businesses that do get caught in the crosshairs, because it's generally not their fault. But at the same time, there is a lot of Mickey Mouse pop-up manufacturers coming up at the moment, just out there to make a bit of quick cash. Because I've been looking, like I said, another rabbit hole about like the food crime side of it, where, for example, livestock gets stolen, or foods that are meant to go into incineration, or for whatever reason, is being stolen on the way and then being put back into the food chain.
Wow.
Then I'm thinking, where's it going? Which back-end cafes are buying it, or back-end restaurants?
Dude. Oh, my God.
Which low-end pet food manufacturers are going to be buying it? Because everybody, it's a cash-strapped society right now. And if anybody can save a couple of quid here and there, they're going to jump at it. But not necessarily think about the bigger picture of what can go wrong, especially when it comes down to the pets. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
100%.
Fair enough. If I want to go to a local takeaway and order something that's, say, doner meat, for example, doesn't tell me what it is really. That's my choice. But my dog's not got that choice. I've got to make that choice for her. Do you know what I mean?
Well, this is it, man.
Yeah, I've got high standards for them.
No, this is it, mate. And it's like, this is the other thing. So we come up against, I'd be interested to know your thoughts, but we come up against it a lot where, like, say, for instance, Tuki's treats, they're on the premium side price-wise. But like I said a minute ago, it's because they cost us so much. We actually make less margin on them. We kind of need to be selling them for more than we are, but we don't want to, because we want more people using them because we love the product. But interestingly enough, they, people don't know, like you say, and it's like we get it a lot where people say stuff to us like, oh, I'm not going to spend that on treats, or I'm not going to spend that on food, or this particular type of dog food, or whatever it is. And my rebuttal is always, yeah, but how much are you spending on the vet? like how I feel like I've researched this enough over years and years and years and years with like personal nutrition and exercise and things that are good for your body, and have now done an extensive amount of research in the canine world of the same thing. And I'm like, seriously, man, like maybe 98% sure, maybe 99% sure it's your nutrition, your sleep, your exercise. It's the same for dogs as it is for humans. It's the same for
100%.
elephants. It's the same for geese. It's the same. Like, it's the same for everything. And I've talked to so many people. It's not their fault. Like I'm not trying to cast anyone out here whatsoever. I've spoke to a lot of people before where they won't buy they won't sort of go down the rabbit hole of good feeding for their dog, but once or twice in their dog's life they'll get a $5,000 vet bill. Like, and to me that makes no sense, because it's not just the money. In fact, it's more important than that. It's dogs don't like going to the vets 9 times out of 10. They it's a stressful, anxiety ridden experience for them that's not good. And and it's weird. I was talking to someone the other day about this on a different podcast, and it kind of the subject came up about research and what how much research should you do before you get a dog or bring a pet into your home. And my answer is a hell of a lot. And I don't, there's nothing wrong if you brought a dog home. Some people go to a rehoming shelter for the first time ever, and they get the puppy eyes, and they're like, oh my God, I just need to save this dog. I need to help this dog. You're doing a beautiful thing there, like 100%. But there's an element of understanding canine body language, nutrition, what exercise routines. You see people all the time where you can tell they've got no clue, and they're not malicious, they're not bad people, they've done nothing wrong, but they're not aware that there's some extra effort to put in there. That little bit of extra effort, even a few minutes a day of just reading up on some of those things, A, it's going to make your life better, B, it's going to make your bond with your dog better, and C, it's going to make your dog happier and healthier. I can't see a lose there. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah, I definitely agree. But yeah, you just touched on something that I've been saying for quite a while when you talk about like rescue centres and stuff. So a lot of dogs, they're in a vicious cycle of going through rescue, because they'll get rehomed, and then like I said, somebody, for the exact reasons you just said, have took them on without a full insight of what to expect, and then they take them back. And these poor dogs are stuck in that cycle. But I do think like rescue places, whether that's through Dogs Trust, wherever, I think they should start giving out like competency tests to anybody that's taking them on, like breed specific competency tests to test people's knowledge. And if they haven't got it, educate them, and then let them see if they still want to take that breed on.
That's a really interesting point, sir.
Which I think that would be a good idea, and obviously charge for that test as well to bring in a bit of extra revenue. But it safeguards the system. It just educates owners. It makes the rescue centres know that the dog's going to somebody that is competent and has done the research. Because there's nothing worse than a dog just keep being returned back to rescue for no fault of their own.
No.
And part of that is just somebody getting a dog because of how they look and not doing the research first. But that's what dogs do to us. Those puppy eyes. Even senior dogs have still got them puppy eyes. And the wrappers around the paws really easily.
You're 100% right, buddy.
But it's just something I think would be very beneficial. And as well, now you've put me down on a bit of a tangent here. Talk about rescue centres and stuff. Is I think that the media that says, like Dogs Trust, for example, they said they've got a rehoming problem, that nobody wants to take on the animals, things like that. And I don't think they do have a rehoming problem. I think they have a red tape problem, because all their guidelines and the criteria, they're not suitable for like modern day new builds now. They're not built with those in mind.
No.
Like, who's got a garden with a 6-foot fence these days? No one. I don't.
No. So, I mean, we just real quick. I live in a tiny little village just outside of Brighton, and for the last amount of years we've lived here, it's just a beautiful. I'm so lucky to live here. It's such a beautiful place. It's like tiny little village. It's lovely. we've basically been surrounded by new build houses to the point where I think we've joined up with like 3 other villages, and now we're like a super town or something like that. But like you say, it's they're not built in the same way. There's a level of it's profit over everything else. This is again, not to go off on a massive rabbit hole, but it's profit. This is why bad decisions are made in life due to profit a lot of the time, I would say. And it kind of rings true with exactly what you're talking about,
Yeah, definitely. And at the same time, the cynic in me always says, well, if all the dogs were rehomed, they'd have no reason to collect charity donations, would they? So that's another aspect that I'm always thinking about too, because yeah, it's a business model at the end of the day, isn't it? If they don't have dogs in rescue, there's no money coming in. So yeah, there's that side of it that a lot of people may disagree with, but I think there's a bit of truth to it as well. We must keep some back for that specific reason. But honestly, it's been so refreshing to speak to someone so like-minded. But when you said you went down into all the rabbit holes yourselves and you started to feed raw, like what prompted you to do that? Like have you ever had a bad experience with the ultra processed side of it, or it's just purely just based on research?
That's a really good question, brother. So the exact story goes. So my wife did all of her dog training and behavior, and she's still learning. We're like 5 years in now, and she is like on it. It's awesome. I love it so much. But one thing that neither of us knew about at the start of this was canine nutrition. And interestingly enough, I was so fat as a kid. I was really, really unhealthy. And I got to I think it was about 16 or 17, and realized I wasn't getting laid, and was just like, how do I say, I need to sort this out. Like what's going on here? No self-esteem, all of those things. And ever since I've been really I still continually research about what's good to put in my body, what's not good to put in my body, what products I shouldn't have in my house, all of these things. And this is a mind blower for me, because I should have known when we brought Tuki home. I should have thought to myself, of course she needs the same thing. She needs happiness. She needs healthy diet. She needs good sleep. She needs good love, good exercise, all of these things. So yeah, basically we and as I think that this is probably the same for a lot of new pet parents, maybe not all, but for a lot, is that they get their information from their breeder. So, oh, hello, Bubba. Hello, Bubba. Oh, hello, mate. Sorry, this is more important.
Yeah.
What's the pooch called?
It's Maggie.
Yes. Maggie. Hello, baby.
She's half Rottweiler.
Oh, mate, my little Rottweiler's down on the floor next to me, but she's not moving at the moment. Oh, bless her. She's sweet. Sorry, if dogs will always throw you off, won't they? But no, so we basically, as I think most people do when they bring a dog home for the first time, is they get their information from the breeder, or they get their information from a vet. Now, I'm again not casting over here. I personally think for breeders, I do think that there should be some kind of licensing and some kind of, I'm not all about the nanny state.
Stricter licensing.
But quite considerably stricter. But again, I'm not into nanny states and all of that stuff. But I think that there's that could. But so we did the exact same thing. Our breeder, who was absolutely lovely, fantastic breeder. We did lots of research finding a good breeder. She obviously didn't know about food from our point of view. And again, I'm not casting across anyone else. Feed your dog what you think is best. But for us, she told us to feed Royal Canin Rottweiler puppy. Now, since I've done some research, let's take Royal Canin out of it and just use standard brand kibble. I understand marketing to a point where if I see the exact same product with different pictures of different dogs on the front, and that's the reason I'm buying, there's a problem there. So we fed Tuki that particular kibble for the first 9, 10, 11 months that we had her, and she was in the vet it was regular. It was once a month, once every 6 weeks she was in the vet for. And I've got my own opinions on not all vets, but veterinary practices as a whole, which is probably not for now. But I was getting sick of taking her, because not for me, for her, it was stressing her out. She hates going to the vet. It's not a good experience. I know some dogs are cool with it, but she's not. And I didn't like doing that to my dog. It's not like I can explain, hey, Bob, we're going to the vet. I'll get you an ice cream afterwards. You know what I mean? Not that I would do that either. But, I was getting sick of it for that reason, but also it was costing me an arm and a leg as well. And I just remember having this epiphany one day, and I was like, "Hang on a sec, of course I need to feed her properly." So to answer your question long-windedly, went down an obscene amount of research trying to work out what was not just best to feed dogs, but what was best to feed my dog, and like breed specific, and also kind of her training. So some people, their dogs are working dogs. Mine's not, but she's a very highly trained dog. So there's like different amounts of macros and things that she needs to have in a day that allow her to work properly, to be optimized and to work to the best of her ability. So I've said this to so many people now, and I think I'm yet to have anyone not come back and just say, "Oh my God, this has changed my life." It's just my opinion. It is just my opinion, but I think it's worth saying for your listeners. So one of the things that came up when we first sort of went down the raw route was when we started talking to other people. I bump into dog walkers, as you do as a dog walker. You bump into other pet parents all the time, and you end up talking. Food comes up often. And when we started talking about raw, I would say it was 50-50 split. 50% of people were like, "Yes, that's all I feed my dog. Of course, that's all I feed my dog, and these are the reasons why." The other 50% of the people weren't against it. They were against the cost of it. And this is something that I always find really interesting, because cost, often you'll have a first initial thought about it, and a lot of people won't necessarily think, "Hang on a sec, can I get around that somehow? How can I do it?" So we just started this business. I've thrown everything I had into it and still continue to. Sorry, my phone's going wild. And still continue to. So it's not like we've got loads of cash on the hip. Do you know what I mean? So for us to move over from kibble to raw feeding and like proper top end nutrition for our dog, initially it was like, shoot, I don't think we can afford this. Like this seems like a big monthly thing. So I got my thinking hat on, and we ended up talking to our local butcher. I went down to the local butcher, I see him most mornings. Like I said, I'm fortunate enough to live in a village. I will always shop local if I can, no matter what. And if anyone just jumps off on that, nowadays it's not more expensive. My local Tesco is the same, if not more expensive, to buy fruit and veg than it to cost me from the greengrocer and meat from the butcher. And at least I know where that stuff's come from, and it's stuff. Anyway. So we ended up talking to the butcher, and he was like, "Look, I do this for a bunch of other dogs already." He was like, "We've got lots of stuff that the customers won't buy, like some of those like weird bits of the protein that, are completely, extremely, really nutritious, really, really good for dogs, but customers won't buy them because they've got an icky name, or whatever it is, or they look a bit gross." So he does these, they're about maybe 1.5 foot long, something like that. He calls them pet mints. And they cost me £2.50 for one of these things. That will last me 4 or 5 days with Tuki, and then we'll mix it up. So sometimes chicken, sometimes beef, but we get them from the same place. We'll add some cucumber or some different, pumpkin powders or what, that bunch of different things. Now, the reason I bring this up is because whenever anyone says to me that it's too expensive to feed their dog raw, or at least change their diet like that, it costs me less than it was costing me in kibble to feed my dog, like an exceptional thing. And I'm supporting local business, right, which is really important to me as well. And I know exactly where this food is coming from. I don't trust a lot of brands out there because, like I said at the start of this, I've seen some of those factories. We've done tours of some of those factories, and I see what they're doing and what they're saying are two very, 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 very different things. And arguably, look, dude, I want my dog to live happy, long. Like I said before, I just want her to be happy and in good nick. Now, last part of my waffle is that she's 5 years old. She was 5 years old 2-3 weeks ago, recently in June. She has not been once, not even had any issues since we changed her diet from when she was like 1.5 or whatever it was. She had nothing. Her coat is the best it's ever been. Her eyes are all sparkly and shiny, and I know some people who go, yeah, but you can't say that that's just the nutrition. Do you know what? I'm 98% sure, maybe 99%, and it's not through lack of research. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
No, yeah, it definitely does. And do you know what? I always say it'll always get labelled a correlation. And I thrive in correlations, but observationally, a lot of people that have made a switch from ultra-processed foods have noticed a difference. as would we if we just ate nothing but ultra processed food, then started going to eat our 5 a day and things like that. We'd notice the same differences in ourselves. And I just apply the same logic to us and dogs. And at the all GPs would recommend people to limit themselves to ultra processed foods, eat a more balanced diet.
Mm-hmm.
And the same should apply to pets as well. But for it to be the opposite end of the spectrum and say, no, ultra processed is the best, makes no sense at all. Yes, it's precise. Yes, they can monitor exactly what goes in. But it's also not reality because every dog's an individual and they'll absorb nutrients, synthetic nutrients, differently to each other. It's not universal, which is quite interesting because all the feeding trials have like eight dogs. That's it for 6 months. That's it, and only 6 of them need to finish it with positive results, which that in itself is a low benchmark. If it just needs 75%, and they'll still get approved for a rollout. But that means they're aware that 25% of dogs were going to fall through that net, so they know full well it's not suitable for every single dog. And then the fact that they market it like it's the holy grail, it's dumbfounded if you ask me. I just think it's insane. But hopefully, like I said, as time's going on, things are going to change. Because Hills themselves have just released a fresh product, like a chub roll, like the Fresh Pet ones.
Right, yeah.
But obviously, if they're releasing the fresh food sides of it, obviously the feeding trials should be relevant if they've done them. The studies that they're using are going to be more appropriate and things like that. And I think the data is going to be that's publicly available is going to be a little bit more transparent and a little bit more, because it's going to back their fresh food products is what I'm trying to say. So obviously, if it's backing their fresh food products, naturally it backs up the market in itself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So yeah, they've kind of like given the fresh food movement a bit of a smoking gun. Really, the more they put into it, and more effort they put into it, yeah, it's just giving us better data, and which is that's what we need. And yeah, I'm hoping, like I said, the next 10 years, things are going to turn a corner massively, and yeah, they'll have a piece of the pie themselves. Obviously, it'll never be the same as, like you said, what you're doing. They're trying to market to the masses and not as an individual. Do you know what I mean? And they're never going to get it perfect when they're formulating that way. And it's not meant to be. It's meant to be to stop deficiencies long term. It's never meant to be optimal for the individual, and a lot of people don't seem to understand that either. It's just as like the way I try and explain it to people is if you was walking down the high street and there was a new food company. So, oh, you've got 5 minutes. We've released this new product. It's complete and balanced to your needs. How is it? What data have they got to know that? How do they've not asked any questions, but they're telling you it's complete and balanced to your exact needs. It's not. It can't be. So people aren't challenging that when they get told that for the pets, and they need to, and they need to dig deeper. And yeah, if they haven't got the savviness to know how to do it themselves, there's people out there that can do it. They can formulate fresh foods, absolutely no problem, and it's not even that expensive either. If you spread it out like across the year, like you pay once, so like say 4 recipes you can rotate, that's fine. And yeah, that's a lot better than relying on an ultra processed fortified food. But yeah, no, I'm rabbiting now.
Mate, not at all.
But yeah, honestly, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you.
Oh, bless you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
No, I honestly, I thank you for coming on. I've got another one in a moment, so I'm going to have to wrap it up. But yeah, honestly, come back on in the future. Like I say, once you've, like I say, you've got your mini one out. I'll have some to hand that for the next one as well, and I'll get some treats to hand as well. But yeah, honestly, keep doing everything that you're doing, and just yeah, I wish you all this success in the world, because if anybody deserves it, it's you.
Bless you, brother. Right back at you, man. I really appreciate it. And like for any of your listeners, if you want to, it's not on the soulless plug, but genuinely, if there's anything that my business Play9 can do to help you guys out, just drop us a message. Like we'll always get back to you, or just have a look at what we're doing. Feedback we're always up for. And Michael, you keep doing you, brother. Thank you for having me.
I will do. Perfect. I'll link all your details underneath. Yeah.
Awesome. Appreciate it.